agenda?
Correct.
Entertain a motion? On the floor, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your second item is General Manager's Report, and I unfortunately do not have a General Manager's Report for you this month. We'll make sure to double up next month. Next item is item number 3, to receive the NDOT Director's Report.
Tina, you caught me off guard there. Just a few items to cover. One was that we had a successful kind of round trip meeting there with our delegation at the end of February. Talked a lot about the need for sustainable transportation funding. Pleased to see that Senator Heller is a co-chair of a working group in Senate Finance that's working on a solution through corporate tax reform to fund infrastructure in the nation. And also pleased that Congresswoman Titus and Congressman Hardy are on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, so they're going to be dealing with that reauthorization of the transportation bill as members of that committee directly. Then I wanted to express appreciation with the RTC on several coordination events that we've had with pedestrian safety recently. Mayor Hafen graciously hosted the RTC and NDOT at a pedestrian safety media event. Got a lot of coverage by the press and TV stations. So it's really good to get that message out to improve safety, especially pedestrian safety, where we've seen an increase down here in Southern Nevada in pedestrian fatalities. The Transportation Board on Monday received a report on some additional projects in Southern Nevada for pedestrian safety. So we had previously received approval from the board for $7 million in projects down here in Southern Nevada, and we gave them a preview of next year's pedestrian safety projects, so about nearly $5 million approximately that we've already identified for next year. So keep this program going to improve crosswalks, lighting, some of the flashing beacons that we can install at crosswalks. We'll continue to work with RTC and its member entities on identification of any kind of issues where at the local level of pedestrian safety issues, school, where kids are in school zones and crossing streets. We want to know about that stuff that maybe is off of our list, but you're aware of it locally. So definitely the communication lines are open on that issue. And the other thing that's coordination is we're working closely with the event for the groundbreaking of I-11. There will be several members, the governor will be here, several members of the congressional delegation. So appreciate RTC's efforts, and that's not an easy lift to coordinate something that's that large and going to be that well attended. So thanks to Tina and her staff on that coordination. And lastly, we are also, you see a theme of coordination here. We're coordinating on the issue of fuel revenue indexing in AB 191 so that we can testify in support of that, kind of give some indication of what projects NDOT would be delivering with that additional revenue to the State Highway Fund through fuel revenue indexing. That concludes my director's report.
Thank you, Rudy. Questions for the director? I just had one note as difficult, just the other day at the Flamingo event. That was wonderful, coordinating all the different federal representatives. Now this I-11, we not only have the local, state, federal, but it's my understanding we're going to at least invite some of the Arizona delegation or counterparts. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So whoever is partnering NDOT and whoever's on our team. Yeah.
Angela Torres Castro is taking the lead in coordinating that. And I'd just like to reiterate that Rudy mentioned a couple times the partnership that's going on right now between the NDOT and the RTC on several different issues. And more than ever, we are coordinated and tight at the hip on this. And we'll be reporting.
Well, that one's going to be fun.
It is.
That agenda may be longer than the Gail Frazier retirement party that we just went through. So.
I'll just share with you that at the NDOT State Board Transportation meeting on Monday, Rudy was reporting to his board, the governor, and he was reading off a list of things that are coming up, and he got to the I-11 thing, and he just meant to very casually, briefly say, and we'll be having our groundbreaking on I-11 and moving on to further discussion. And the governor said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I want to take a minute to talk about this. This is a big deal. And he launched into how excited he personally is, and he asked the entire State Transportation Board to please show up for the groundbreaking event. So it's exciting to see that there is a lot of enthusiasm and attention that is going to be paid to this very important project.
And there's like a 40% discount on rooms in Boulder City. The night before? All right, no, we won't put the mayor on the spot. Commissioner G.
Thank you. Just along those lines, I want to say the chair and RTC staff did a phenomenal job with the Flamingo Corridor groundbreaking, and NDOT was there and participated. It was one of the best ones I think I've been to. So just to commend you on that part of it. It was great having the students out there performing as well. Were they from Durango? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're incredible. That's part one. Part two, I have neglected to ask Tina, what's the status of the study that was done on Maryland Parkway? Because we have a meeting coming up, and I know your staff will be there, but...
Well, we've just started the environmental process and the preliminary design of that corridor. Fred, I'll turn it over to Dr. Fred O'Heaney if he wants to report on it.
No, please.
Yes, we in the process of selecting a consultant to start the preliminary engineering and environmental study for that corridor.
Okay.
That study that was done, the findings of that study will be incorporated as part of our preliminary engineering and environmental study.
Okay. And are there grant dollars that we're pursuing if we do move to the BRT or the cable car or whatever for that center running? I believe that was the final.
Yeah, part of this exercise, we'll be looking at all grant opportunities in funding the project. We'll be looking at FTA's New Starts funding as well as all other federal funds.
Okay, and then we'll coordinate with Southern Nevada Strong with their opportunity grant, which comes in there. But I also have some businesses that might want to pursue a SID for some beautification programs, so I need to coordinate that then with you all.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
All right.
But anyway, don't forget, we are Southern Nevada Strong now, RTC. Yes.
Yes, you are. The 8 of you are now Southern Nevada Strong.
And the walrus? Beatles?
Yes, I am the walrus. And I'll let you know that as we develop a project list of projects that could possibly be funded if fuel revenue indexing is extended, the Maryland Parkway Corridor is a large project that would be incorporated into that.
Okay. Thank you, Director. All right, back to you, Ms. Quigley.
Okay, your next item is to receive your first citizens' participation.
It's the first time set aside for public comment. Those wishing to speak on a posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Mendoza, items 5 and 30.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jose Mendoza Jr., President, Business Agent for ATU Local 1637. In regards to item 5 on last month's agenda, your motion being that you were an evaluator of Ms. Tina Quigley's raise, you made a motion on the floor, and it is the ATU's opinion that that was an improper motion, and we're just here to publicly object to that for whatever the commissioners want to address it. If they want to address it, fine. If not, we just want to go on the record that we are objecting to your motion on the floor to give Tina Quigley a pay increase.
And item number 30.
Okay, item number 30. ATU wants to know if this agenda item is part of the, I guess, the transit capital improvements for 2013-2035, where RTC has a proposal of Las Vegas monorail from the airport to MGM. Is this part of this master plan? That's all we want to know. That's the question.
Any other comments?
No, that was just a question, and if you could address it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if we could, at the appropriate time, get a response on items 5 and 30. And anyone else wishing to speak on a posted agenda item? Seeing and hearing no one, we'll close this portion of public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Your next items are your consent agenda constituting items 5 through 43 and may be taken in one motion.
Motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And your last item is your final citizens' participation.
This is our second time set aside for public comment. Those wishing to speak to the board, please state your name for the record and keep your comments to 3 minutes. Ian Pollock. Pollock or Pollock?
Pollock.
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 Thank you.
My name is Ian Pollock. I'm a member of Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1637. 2 years now, we've been going back and forth with our respective companies over a CBA. We still don't have one. And I'm thinking maybe the commission can put a little pressure onto these companies to give us a CBA. We're not asking for much, but then again, maybe the commission just wants to sweep that under the rug, like they do with everything else. Like they did when Dennis came up here 2 months ago and talked about the buses that were out for Metro for New Year's Eve. It was swept under the rug. So, with that being said, I would like to give you guys a brush. That way you can keep sweeping things under the rug. Now, when you guys brought these companies in, I didn't know it was going to be working for tyrants. When I can't even take my own day off without getting punished for taking my own day off by giving a UA. The drivers, we feel that we're getting screwed. None of the drivers are happy right now. None of us. There's a lot of friction. And we feel that friction every time we show up to work. It's not very nice. So, by us getting screwed, I've got you guys another present. Some lubrication. Because you know what? It's the same thing over and over. And I told you the last time I was up here that you guys didn't care. And I just look at your faces. I know that you don't care. Because there's nothing coming back from you guys. You say you can't get involved. Yeah, you can. You just don't want to. Because it's easier for you to sit up there and ignore the union. Well, you know what? The union was here long before MV showed up. Long before Keola showed up. And we will be here after MV and Keola sail off into the sunset. The union will still be here and you will still have to deal with us. Thank you, because obviously nothing's going to happen.
Thank you. Dennis Hennessy. Does the prior speaker want the visuals back? All right, could you just get them out of the way? Put them in the bag, hand them up here. We'll make sure they get to the appropriate spot. Thank you. All right, Mr. Hennessy.
Dennis Hennessy, resident of Clark County, driver for Keolis. Wasn't here last month. I overslept, so I couldn't share my thoughts. I didn't really prepare anything today, just some overview. Here we are 2 years later. Having been able to sit back, to make an assumption that you all don't care is a wrong assumption. I see how much passion Miss March, you have with Nevada Strong, Chris, I see how much passion you have. It's a moot point for me to sit up here and say nobody cares, because I think it's wrong. I think you all do care as you look forward. You all do care. The problem that we have, and Mr. Ross, I look back 2 years ago, and I look back at the day you awarded these contracts to the two companies and how passionate you were about a clause if things didn't go well that could bump companies out of this contract. Guys, thinking to the future, I know legally, whatever way, you guys can't get involved, but you guys do have influence. There's a lot of big events coming up soon. What has happened in our union since I started 5 years ago is we've grown from just over 500 out of 800 employees in the union to now well over 700 out of 800 in the union. A lot of big events coming up. There's 4th of July, there's St. Patty's Day, there's Memorial Weekend. There's a Manny Pacquiao-Floyd Mayweather fight that the eyes of the nation are going to be on our community. Sure would hate for there to be a big flu bug going around and our bus system be shut down. Influence these companies to settle these contracts. The fact that we've got drivers on their scheduled days off being forced to work overtime because we don't have enough drivers is outrageous. The fact that we can't go to the bathroom between routes is outrageous. Take some of that passion. This isn't about dollars here. This is about our right to have a fair working environment. We're not asking you for any more money. We all deserve a raise. Miss Quigley, she deserves a raise. We all deserve a raise. Help us, guys. It's been 2 years. Influence it somehow. By the way, the buses on the Strip are still absolutely filthy. Come out some night on my bus, and I'll show you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board? If, by show of hands, Mr. Mendoza, please. Would you mind coming down to the front row or the first few rows and sit down and save us a little? Anyone else wishing to speak? Then I've identified okay. Yeah, if you do want to speak, just move down to the first few rows so it's a little bit easier transition. Thank you. Mr. Mendoza, please.
Mr. Brown and Commissioners, just like Brother Dennis Hennessy was just mentioning about everybody wants a pay increase, and I agree. It is a shame that In-N-Out hires their employees at $10.50 an hour. One of the operators start here, and they're responsible for lives at $9.30 an hour. That's an embarrassment, especially here in Las Vegas. We don't appreciate that your Assistant General Manager, Jerry Keating, makes a complaint against one of our operators, and he gets suspended. And it is a shame that they rather go by his word instead of the operator's incident report and what he said to Mr. Keating. But Mr. Keating wanted to show his muscle. He was an RTC employee, Assistant General Manager, and that is a shame. He's a public servant. And hopefully the commissioners suspend him without pay and see how he likes it. Anyway, going back to our update. MV, in the final days of the beginning of this month, on next Wednesday, we're going to look into a possible binding interest arbitration on the wages. We have not accepted it yet, but we are going to discuss it. But at this time, we won't comment no more on that. The only thing is that we are finally at the wages with MV, and this month is the 24th month that we've been negotiating, and it is a shame. 2 years. Top pay operators, over 10 years, haven't received a pay since 2012, while Tina Quigley gets a raise every year. Mechanics at top rate haven't even seen a pay increase either. Keolis, on the other hand, we don't understand where they're coming from, but we hope on Monday and Tuesday we will be meeting with them. They change their attitude. Their attitude in the table is try to find a way how they're going to terminate these employees, which are very dedicated to the companies, but at the same time they want to find a way how to make the profits. And it is a shame that the RTC approved the splitting back in February of 2013, and we got to deal with it. We went many, many months before the split. We asked you not to do it, and you did it. But it is what it is, and we're dealing with it. And like Brother Dennis said, there's a lot of events coming up, and hopefully that these people, companies, stop stealing from us, because they are stealing from our holiday pay and other things that they shouldn't be stealing. And now they want to interpret the contract where they never negotiated with us. It was only Veolia, and it is a shame. And I hope Mr. Keating gets suspended. Thank you.
Next speaker?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Stephen Smith, and I've lived in Nevada off and on since 1968. I went to junior high school here back in 1974 over at Garside. My mom got a divorce from my stepdad. We moved back up to Carson City. And on the way out of town, this is what I want to communicate, is when we're moving on the way back up to 95, and Jones was just a 2-lane freeway up there coming out of the Spaghetti Bowl. And so I want to applaud everybody for approving the Flamingo project. And I hope you all don't stop there. There's, come up with I know there's a budget. I had an uncle that was a civil engineer for NDOT back in the 70s up in Carson City. I understand that there's money problems. There's always been. There might always be, because Nevada's a desert. But if there can be any more transportation projects in Clark County, it sure be appreciated. And think big, because I do believe there's going to be another 1 million people moving here eventually. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker?
I'm John Post. I work for MV Transportation. I'm an 8-year driver, a resident of North Las Vegas. I just wanted to say that you got these signs all over town talking about the union update. It's at all these bus stops. Well, years ago, I addressed you guys and asked if we could have route information at the bus stops. And I'm just wondering, if you ever decide to take those signs down, do you think you might put a route schedule on there for the customers with maybe fare information sign on it? You got all these signs you put up all over town, and the response I got back then was you didn't have the personnel and it wasn't needed. Well, I assure you it is needed. There's plenty of customers out there still who don't understand the route information. If you could just, that same sign that you have up there says Transit Union Update, pull that out, use the same little flag, just slide that schedule right up in there with some, customer information. That would be all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to the board? And this is our last speaker? Is that correct? Anyone else wishing to speak to the board?
Let me speak
Okay.
first. Hi, good morning. My name is Sam Santori. I'm the Vice President of ATU 1637. I know the RTC is not allowed to be involved in our contract negotiations. I understand that. But what the RTC does control are the schedules. They're the ones who put it out, who devise whatever times there is. I believe Perrin does that job. And what RTC needs to do is pass the word to him to schedule in a meal break and schedule in a toilet break. Recovery time is to recover lost time on your paddles, on your schedules. Has nothing to do with a driver using a restroom or having a sandwich. If you guys work on that part, the rest should fall right into place. But that's something you can get involved in, and I wish you would. That's all.
Thank you. Is it a speaker or? Okay. Mr. Pollock, you've spoken, so.
I understand that.
Okay. Start the clock, I think.
Man, even
And does the commission get a miss out for starting the meeting late today? We would.
Our children going to school here.
First paddle I bid as a white shirt 8 years ago was for 46 hours. Where'd that paddle go? How come that paddle's 39 hours now? And then they're gonna call me up on my day off and tell me I gotta work. I'm not coming in on that day. I'm sorry. I will work every.
You might get an
day, but
unauthorized
I
absence,
won't work
though.
other days.
Even though you called in 12 hours before you came in,
Got no
and you
problem.
told the dispatcher.
I got no problem working the days that I bid, but I'm not working days I didn't bid. The bid system.
Yeah, but it's also funny that they put out the holiday schedules and put 502 drivers on the 301, 301 drivers on the 502, 109 drivers on the 202, 202 on the 201. What sense is that? You put drivers out there that on the route. What do you expect's going to happen?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Wave your hand if you want to speak.
All you want, Jerry. Your day's coming.
Seeing and hearing no one, this meeting is adjourned.